And we are recording on Wednesday, October 11th, 2023 at 2:28 p.m. Eastern Time with Mr. George Nasr, who's been on here, I believe, once before. And because I'm an asshole, I've rescheduled this show so many times, but perhaps perhaps it was divine intervention to keep rescheduling it because the originally planned show is for everybody watching. You can see on the screen was to discuss resource wars, and I've pushed this back time and time again because I'm a selfish host. But again, it being October 11th, 2023, we obviously a week, a little less than a week into the newest iteration of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, something I know nothing about and will not even pretend to know anything about. But as you showed me, and I hope you pull up the slide in a second, was the natural Levant basin of all the gas reserves and then where Gaza is. Yeah. And all of a sudden, it kind of makes a little sense. You go, huh, maybe this is happening. Now, obviously, this shit is hyper complex and it's been going on for decades and no one has it figured out, truly, least of which is me. But I figure you're over there. And as you said in our
Yes.
conversation, I haven't been bombed yet. So, and he came into here and I was like, how are you doing? He goes, it's not my first rodeo, which is about as a hardcore of a response as you can give. And so with that, Mr. Nasser, introduce yourself for everyone that doesn't know who you are, and then take it away, buddy.
Hey everybody, I'm George Nasr. I wrote about hydropolitics and then sustainable development. That's most of my work. And unfortunately, war, like Smedley Butler would say it, it's the most sustainable business model.
It's a racket, baby.
Un- oh yeah, unfortunately, it's the oldest racket. And I was thinking when you postponed it, I had a feeling Tom had planned everything. So that's why you're here. He planned all this operation that happened. So you're going to be suspect number one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody's coming at your door.
Yeah. No, nobody.
All right.
Yeah, no, it's the next show is going to be me in Israel broadcasting live with George as we're both executed in the street.
Oh, I'm in Lebanon.
Yeah, I know.
I can't go
That's
to
what's
Israel. That
I
would
know that's
be
what's going to make it so great. This is going to be you and me in Israel getting executed. No one, everyone
oh
expects you to be in Lebanon, man. That ain't special. You and me downtown, I don't know, Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, our heads being sawed off by Bibi himself.
oh boy, you're getting
That's
me in
that's a
trouble.
lot of views, man. That's a lot of views.
Yeah, it would be good for your podcast. I'm
Be
not sure
very
if
good
it'd
for
be
the
good for
podcast.
my blood pressure.
No, 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 no. Well, our blood pressure would rapidly decrease as our remaining blood supply shot out of the stumps that were formerly our necks. I'll shut up, George. you,
Well,
you
it's
take
a
it
good thing
away.
I used to be a paramedic. It kind of all right, dark humor enough. So this may not be a resource war, but I'll just put things in perspective. It puts in perspective what's one of my theses is. Let's look at Ukraine and Russia for a brief moment. That's a map of Ukraine. It's a bit. We have two basins. It shows the two main oil and gas basins in Ukraine, and the one that's called here the Deeper Donetsk basin. The fighting is happening on part of the basin, and if we zoom into this one, we'll see the Dnieper Donetsk basin in detail. It has a lot of oil and gas. It's not a lot compared to what Russia has, but the value of this oil and gas may be 50 to 60 times Ukraine's GDP before the war.
Ooh,
So it's not nothing.
ain't nothing.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that resources define what war is. Wars may start for a variety of reasons, but once the money is being spent on war and on killing each other, somebody wants return on their investment. And that's when resources come into play. So that's where they start defining it. In this Middle East of ours, I'm currently in Lebanon. Everybody, all these countries here in the region were carved from the Ottoman Empire and the during the waning days of the First World War. There's something people we need to realize is that England during the before the First World War, had a lot of coal. All its navy was running on coal. But then they realized that oil, diesel ships could go 5 times faster. They could carry 3 times more weapons and have a third of the personnel. So in 1912, Churchill shifted the entire British Navy to diesel, and they started retrofitting all their fleet. The problem is the oil came from Iran. They had no control over, they had to enhance their control over Iran. Very soon, they discovered that there was some oil potential in Iraq. So they made an agreement with the French in case the war ends to their advantage. They will split the Ottoman Empire, and they made something called the Sykes-Picot Agreement. Now, everybody in the Middle East knows what is the Sykes-Picot Agreement. Everybody says it's the biggest conspiracy to divide our lands and have these evil imperialists rule over us. Well, the evil imperialists didn't care much about us. They just wanted to get their oil. Britain could do nothing without oil. And when they found that Iraq was promising, so that's how they carved it. Then, towards the end of the war, they found that Mosul had oil. So they took Mosul away from the French, made a deal with them. And if you look at the maps of the region, that's the region, the Middle East we're in, the oil, the borders are defined along the pipelines that they needed. That's what the West worries about, because Europe has no oil of its own. What the region worries about is water. Now, if you look at the map of the region, this is a beautiful satellite picture. The white is snow. That's where Lebanon gets its name from. Lebanon means in the old Aramaic white mountain. So you get good skiing, by the way. You should come and visit for skiing. We have two very good ski slopes,
In Lebanon.
ski resorts.
In Lebanon.
So Lebanon, yeah.
That's I
And we have all the
never
water and around us. Sorry?
I never knew that. I'm in New England right now, and not that far from here, actually, where my parents met in northern New Hampshire. It's some of like the best skiing in the world. There's a resort called the Balsams that's been there since like, I mean, U.S. presidents used to go there back like pre-World War II, and it's some like the best skiing in the world. And I never would have pegged Lebanon, but I guess it doesn't matter, right? It's just altitude.
Its altitude and the location, it's like a wall. So all the clouds that come in, all the precipitation, water-bearing clouds that come in, you see them here on the map and the white dots. They get stopped by two walls, Mount Lebanon and the anti-Lebanon.
Oh, okay.
And New Hampshire, they have a beautiful ski resort the area. It's called the White Mountain. Am I wrong?
Yes, sir. You got the White Mountains. And you got Mount Washington, which up until I think like a decade ago had the world's fastest wind ever was recorded there. I think. Or no,
Oh,
fastest wind. Yeah, it was fastest
yeah,
wind. It was I think it was something insane, like 232 miles an hour. Fucking
that's not bad.
crazy.
That's
Fucking
huge.
crazy, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. It bad
So
shit.
you see,
Yeah.
this geography tells you how the intersection, all of these intersect with each other.
Hmm.
You have at the global scale, you have the oil and gas that needs to pass through this region. And at the local scale, you have a lot of people, and water is concentrated in the upper north, like the northern, they call this the region the Levant, and you have water concentrated here. So you have two sets of politics, two sets of resource wars. One, the global one about oil, and one, the local one about water. Now, on top of this basin, this is how I just got another satellite picture. It shows where those pipelines go through. Had one going through Haifa, another one going to Tripoli. There's two Tripolis. There's one in Libya, and there is one in northern Lebanon. The original one, the oldest one, is in northern Lebanon. Tripolis, by the way, means three cities. So it was like a joint venture of three cities. That's what Tripoli comes from. And then if you look at the Jordan Basin, the famous Jordan River, where all the water in the Jordan Basin comes from the very top. And you see there's southern Lebanon has the Jordan Basin, and the Golan Heights have the Jordan Basin. This is where most of the water comes from. Another part comes from the Yarmouk. So if you are living downstream of the Jordan Basin, all your water comes from upstream, from Lebanon, Syria, and somewhat Jordan. So if you're Israeli, Palestinian, Jordanian, you have the same interests together regarding water. And if you're Lebanese and Syrian, you have shared interests. But there's not enough water for everybody to share. And what happened in the 50s, the Israelis built this small thin line that you see over there. It's called the Israeli National Water Carrier. And it diverts water from upstream to downstream. So they're able to make the desert bloom. It's a great engineering project, actually. Now, all this thinking comes from an idea back in the day. They thought that once you use water, that's it, it's gone. If you think about it, it's not very accurate. You can use water, and that water goes into the ground, gets filtered again, and goes back into a stream and goes downstream. So water can be reused many times. But if you approach it just pure calculation, you won't see it this way. And this is the old engineering thinking back in the 1910s, 1920s. That's how they thought. Anyway, this thinking got us disputes over water. And when this national water carrier was declared open in service, that was 1964. The Arabs mobilized and decided to cut off water supply from the north, the Syrians and the Lebanese, and they decided to dam and divert their upstream rivers. This led to a series of problems. Mostly the Syrians were more effective and started working. There was big tank battles. The Syrian project stopped. And then 3 years later, there was a war, the Six-Day War. The Israelis prepared for it. The Arabs did not prepare for it so much. So within 6 days, they took control over most of the Jordan Basin, the upper Jordan Basin, except from the basins in Lebanon. But then when they had all of this, they decided, what can we keep and what can we give up? Because in peace, there will be some parts to give up. So in the West Bank, they looked at some areas and they said, these are a maximum withdrawal lines. The dark gray ones are the ones that have the most water. The light gray ones don't have that much. If you look at the wall and the settlements, you will find them on the dark gray areas, mostly. Coincidence. And in the Golan, they proposed to Syria, in case there is peace, the Israelis will withdraw, the Golan will revert back to Syria, but then they will create a peace park. And that's the water-bearing region, the ones that feed into the Jordan River. It happens to be the water-bearing region will coincidentally happen to be the peace park. So it's a strange park where to come from Syria, you need the visa. To come from Israel, you can just go take a hike and enjoy the scenery. So this is underlying. This has been going on, all these things, these interests has been going on since the 40s. You have the 67 war, which was, in my opinion, a water war that the Arabs lost. And then you have the water tensions. That's where you have those intifadas. It plays a big role. It's not the main one, but it always plays a big role. People need resources to motivate them to fight. And now that oil and gas is becoming more important, we have big finds in the Levant Basin. So I am not saying those things caused the war, but when war happens, those things will play a big role in defining the final outcome. And it so happens that in Gaza, that's a small strip of land there, there is offshore from Gaza a very important gas reserves. And when Israel withdrew from Gaza, it withdrew from the territory, but it did not formally withdraw from the water. So that's a short overview of the situation. What I mean, the underlying situation where we're in. I always say I'm a technocrat, so I don't take even though I'm not saying I don't have a dog in this fight. I live in this fight now, but I try to keep a cool headed and try to look at what are the underlying mechanisms. My point is the underlying mechanism is oil as the region is an oil corridor because Iran to export to Europe and Qatar to export to Europe their natural gas will have to go through the region. Number two, you have local oil and gas resources that are important. And number three, for the locals, we have to find a way to live with whatever water resources we have. And we don't, they're not distributed evenly across the region. So I went from a big spiel and I hope, Tom, you get an idea uh,
Well, I think we figured it
of
out. I think the war's over. I think you and I have figured it out. No, it's, does it cause the war? Do resources cause the war? I think probably in a lot of cases, yes. But like you said, even if it doesn't cause a war, once the war starts, I mean, it's cold and callous to say this, but it doesn't make it any less true. War is a business venture. You're putting forward capital, you're putting forward soldiers. I'm listening to this book on Woodrow Wilson right now, and they're talking about the Treaty of Versailles and France and Britain, the reparations they wanted from Germany. Part of the thing they were calculating was the number of soldiers they lost times the pensions paid to their widows. It's a human capital. You're losing the youth of your nation, their assets. Again, this sounds psychopathic, sociopathic, but it is what it is. Soldiers are capital. It's things you've trained, let alone the actual armaments. And once you start going, you're going to go all in and get something from it. That doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it wrong. It's just what it is. And
oh yeah.
whether or not it started out right for those resources or shit hit the fan and you know what? We're at it. We're going to get something out of it. And that's just, I think it's an undeniable part. It's sad, but it's also just, there's a way things should be and there's a way things are. And it's like,
Well,
we can talk about how things should be. It should be kumbaya. We should all be loving each other. That's all well and good. But that's not how the world works. And it's probably what's going to play a massive role in this.
well, let me give you something about the French, and I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, or I don't know, we can keep it.
You can, it's whatever you
Um,
want, man.
oh, it's what also you want. It's a dialogue. When the French had lost before the First World War, before 1914, the French had lost a major conflict to Germany, 1870. And when they lost this conflict, that was they had their second empire, Napoleon III.
Yeah,
He
the
had to
Franco-Prussian.
abdicate.
Yeah.
Yes, the Franco-Prussian War.
Yeah, right.
The
Bismarck?
Prussians,
Is that Bismarck?
Bismarck, and the Prussians ended up taking the Alsace and the Lorraine
Yeah.
provinces of France. Those were the coal and steel resources for France. So the French could not afford, I mean, they had to get them back. There was an emotional attachment. The Germans wanted them because they considered that those, since the inhabitants were mostly German, this was German territory. To the French, there was this attachment to it. And a lot of those German speaking inhabitants, when they were drafted into the German army, called themselves malgré nous, in spite of us, in
Oh,
spite of ourselves, sorry. They didn't really want to be. And the French, now, other than the emotional attachment there, underneath their feet, you had coal and steel. Until 1914, this is everything. So the French had to get it back. And I do remember there's an old French song that goes, Vous n'aurez pas l'Alsace et la Lorraine. You won't keep the Alsace and the Lorraine. Until 1914, they were singing it.
yeah, and
And
it
I'm sure money funds the emotions.
there's a great book called The Arms of Krupp. I think you might enjoy that. I think it's the longest book I've ever listened to, but it's about like the armament, the German armament industry. And even that is
Oh.
just weaving over like 4 centuries. And what you start to realize is you're like, oh, it's an armament industry. And you're like, what it all starts to, it's you realize just how much of it's simply the resources of the day. And more, and it's kind of happening with you showing these maps when you're showing the pipelines coming through. What it kind of
Yes.
looks like is it kind of looks like you ever seen like a fluorescent protein time lapse of like
Oh, yes.
cells forming, like, neurons forming branches, or like blood vessels growing on, like micro blood vessels growing in tissue or something. And you really start to see it as just these organic systems making nutrient lines. And if you went and talked to some, let's say you could, if you went and had a chat with, I don't know, a tree, and you were like, "Hey, so you're hi Mr. Tree. Hi, Mr. Israel Tree. You're growing these roots over here into Palestine or through Gaza, and you're going over to this pool of water called the Levant. Or let's say, hey, Mr. American Tree, you're growing these roots over to Iraq because I know that there's some resources you like in there. There's some vitamin B, there's some, I don't know, there's some collagen in the soil, there's some nitrogen." And the tree would be like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah." And you know, we'd be like, "Do you know just how immoral that is?" The tree would be like, "The fuck are you talking about? That's where the resources are." That doesn't make it right. I'm just saying, once you zoom out far enough, you do start to kind of see these things as just organisms moving. And it doesn't,
We,
it's now it's different because we're here and there's screaming children and people lit on fire. But if you just zoom out, and it's like what the astronauts say about I'm managing to completely pervert this, but it's called the overview effect, when you go into space and you don't see borders, and then not only
Mhm.
that, but you don't see the world in the way that it's always been shown to you, the United States and then Europe and blah, blah, blah. It's like you're looking at it from all these different angles. Take a globe and turn it at a different angle, unrecognizable. You can't recognize it, and you stop seeing it as borders and as nations and all that. And there's all the quotes about that. I'm looking at it from a much like darker point, is if you looked at that, and then let's say you were also given a time lapse of the last 150 years, right? Of pipelines, of shipping routes, of military bases, it would probably just look like different cells growing different connections. They'd be tapping into, what do? They put out a bunch of little branches until one of them finds where the resources are. Like pseudopods do it in like
Yes.
microbiology, your not micro, molecular biology. All the little arms go out until all of a sudden one of them finds resources, and there's a positive feedback cycle, and the entire thing moves over to there. It's dark and detached, but you do see it as just these organisms just kind of moving around for fuel.
Well, in my book, I do say, and I'm not the only one, many people would say it, that society is a superorganism.
Hmm.
There's a physicist that looked at the way, for example, cities are built. And you can almost predict, for example, the location of gas stations
Yeah.
based on the way people spread. It's like a fungus.
Yeah.
Uh, and there, it's a bit more, it's as complex as nature. You see, the trees by themselves are not the only agent. We don't know whether it's the trees collaborating with each other or the fungus harvesting the trees, or is it the trees and the fungus working as part of a single ecosystem? We call it an ecosystem, but it's not like,
It's not like the
okay,
UN. It's not
to
like they're talking to each other. Like, what do you think about next summer? What should we do?
exactly, but they have the same. It's like you watch a military unit on operation,
Uh-huh.
veterans who've been together for a while. They don't need to talk, they just deploy.
Yeah.
They don't barely make hand signals or just look. It's like one body moving.
Hmm.
A society, a well-developed society, will move in the same way. Now, human societies are a bit different. The superorganism advances in two different ways. You see, if you look at the Chinese or the Russian superorganism, they're trying to move in with the same, almost the same mindset because their society is built like they have a common goal or a common enemy. if you look at the Americans or European society, the way it's been moving recently and deploying, it looks like a society at odds with each other. People are at odds with each other, but paradoxically, it makes it more malleable to whoever is ruling it. They can move it just by pushing one side versus the other, and they move the entire superorganism this way. It moves faster on the short run.
Mm.
The Russian or the Chinese system, because they're united with a certain common goal, when the central control wanes, they still move. There's some inertia that's ongoing. The North American model and now increasing the European one, there's a lot of opposition. So when the central control wanes, you see it as if splitting apart, but then central controls come back again and it's moving far faster.
And
It's
then
like two ways of, and you don't know which one is, okay, to be cynical, you don't know which one is right or wrong. But they both move and they both gather towards resources and they harvest the resources they want and they expand and they move in different directions and there's no prediction. There's no predicting where they're going to go. But there's something else that they miss. You've heard of the humongous fungus
no.
in the Malheur National Forest in the US. I forgot how many acres this covers. It's one fungus
Oh
that
no, I
covers an
have.
entire area.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm sure we have many of them across the world like this. This one, it's a superorganism. It harvests all the trees and it nurtures and eats or kills the trees that it wants. And I'm sure it preys on animals like insects and everything. So it's one humongous organism and it spreads quietly. It's powerful. You cannot do anything about it. The downside is you can't talk to it. There's nothing interesting. Well, it's doing some interesting things as a fungus, but there's no much production, much art. See those big empires that build, they're going to conquer and spread, but then we all end up with McDonald's, Kraft cheese, or you know, there's two things. There's the human part that kind of becomes subsumed into those superorganisms. But then again, that's the only way you succeed. That's the only way in a way society works. You need to build those connections to survive individually because we all need one another. We're designed like this.
Hmm.
Then we make too much of it. We become this super organism that eats everything in its way, provokes war, like the one that's happening now. And it's amazing how everyone goes into groupthink.
Hmm.
Every group, that's me, that's, yeah. And there's no, you notice I'm trying to stay away from the specifics of the war because what will happen, I can make one prediction. People, subgroups will switch sides. Like I saw it in the Lebanese civil war. You will see it across this conflict. Subgroups will switch sides from one to the other because they are opposed, they are united in their opposition to somebody. But when this somebody becomes a bit weaker, what unites them becomes weaker, and now they're opposed to each other. And you had this in the Crusades. You had Crusaders state allying with local Islamic caliphates, sorry, Islamic emirs, against other Crusaders and other Islamic emirs. And we see it nowadays. Now, with on a high level, whatever happens, it's too soon to tell where this will lead. But I don't think all the players are playing the same game. Israel is looking at Gaza. It is possible that Hamas is looking beyond Gaza. Those guys are smart. On both sides, you have very smart people involved in a deadly war.
Hmm.
And superorganisms are eating one another.
Yeah, and it's kind of like that study they did, I think in Japan. They took some mushroom
Mm,
spores or something. I think you and I might have talked about this. And they
yeah.
put it in agar, and they put it and they made like they took like an agar For everyone that didn't take biology, agar is like it's like a petri dish, like shit you'd grow
Yes.
stuff in microbiology. And they took something and so it was like I don't know, it's like the size of a table, and it was the United States. I think you and I talked about this, but I'll tell everyone listening. They took the United States, and then they took kind of just basic. They took I don't know the 100 biggest cities, and they put more nutrients in those
Hmm.
spots, kind of relative to the city size. So you have like the giant ones, New York, Atlanta, Chicago, LA, whatever, and then smaller ones and whatever. And then they kind of sprinkled like the spores everywhere. And they wanted to see how would the spores connect to the different like the nutrient areas. And it was kind of resembled our highway system,
Hmm.
but they found that what the spores were doing was actually far more efficient when they actually mapped it out in terms of like train like long distance rail and highways and airports. They found out the spores were actually much more efficient. And they looked at it and they're like and then they mapped it like, oh, that would like cut down on waste. And then I think that's how they ended up building one of their like subway systems in one of their cities or something. But even so, but the point is when you look at that, so you go talk to any one of those spores, right? So let's go down to you could say who's going to build different. Well, let's look at defense contractors bidding on next generation planes, right? You can imagine maybe that there are probably different contractors bidding on new superhighways or something, right? And they'd say, here's our, you just imagine like a CEO, like, this is gonna cut down on waste 9%, and with our new HOV lanes and off ramps and on ramps and these new loops, so no one ever has to stop and blah blah blah. And they'd all be pitching their thing, and you just like, you see the president just like nodding and on and on and on. They'd be able to explain to you, right? And you choose the one that is, going to be the most efficient, or the one that's going to give you the most money after your time in office, whatever. You could talk to the spores. You'd be like, but that one's more efficient than everyone. Like, well, what's their R&D budget? And you'd be like, it's $0. And you'd be like, what? So you're
Hmm.
like, where's the head spore? There is none. So you'd eventually just grab one of the spores, which is some dumb motherfucker like me. And you'd be like, Tommy, explain this. This is the best highway system we've ever seen. And I'd be like, what highway system?
What type of system? Yeah, I
It
don't
wouldn't
even
even.
see it.
And you go, well, what are you doing? I'd be like, oh, there's food over there. I'm going to get the food.
Yeah, it's like this war that started. You have those different countries. Now, let's say the war game it a bit. Israel now is moving into Gaza. What is Gaza going to do? It's only going to play defensive, right?
Yeah.
All right. But let's say it has some international support. So let's say some other people decide to join the fight. They cannot join there. They're going to join wherever they are, locally, correct? So they're going to start doing something locally, whatever the reason is. Now, what will be the reaction of the other governments when those people join locally the fight locally? The other governments so far proved to be seems the only thing they know how to do is to lock down.
Hmm.
So you'll just restrict travel, restrict movement, do more restrictions. Now, the people who are law abiding, you have like two super organisms playing. One that is involved in the fighting, another one that is confused, trying to just go by their lives. And you have this clash of those two super organisms. The ones who are involved in the war, in the war production, in the actual fighting, in the industry, and the other one who just wants to go by themselves. And now you have one which will restrict the other. And this can very easily trigger some second order effects. Now they have
That
more clashes on the border here in Lebanon. There,
isn't Egypt. I think I saw that like the day after all this shit started. There's like Egypt is like moving all their tanks and shit to their border to make sure there's no like refugee waves.
I don't think they can move tanks. There's some kind of demilitarization agreement, but they can move police and
Whatever. Tanks,
yeah,
guys with guns, whatever. You get it.
yeah. No, but the perspective from Egypt is a bit different. Egypt is in conflict with the Islamic Brotherhood, and Hamas is part of the Islamic Brotherhood, the Muslim Brotherhood. Sorry.
Hmm.
So Egypt sees it from its own perspective that if Hamas prevails or it doesn't lose, it's going to gain some aura and it could weaken the current government. Maybe the current government doesn't see it properly. So it has its own perspective. Each one of them now has their own perspective to things. It doesn't mean they're not sympathetic to what's happening, because nobody likes to see people killed. You made a sign.
It just popped into my head. There's a book. There's a book that is perfect for this, and I've talked about it before. I don't know what I think I did. I read it earlier this year. No, I think I read it last year. I'm a normal 33-year-old single man living in a city, and that and I'm being sarcastic in that I'm not going out to clubs and trying to get pussy, and instead I have an Excel spreadsheet on my phone of all the books I've read, so I can pull them up during the podcast and cite them. But let's see where it is. Not Private Empire, not UFO. No, not oil, not transcend, heart of being. Where is it? Fuck, where is it? Spoils of War. Yeah, Spoils of War.
Spoils
Yes,
of War. I think I read this one.
by Andrew Cockburn.
Yes.
Yeah,
I forgot what it's about exactly, but I do remember the names.
It might be that, and then on kind of similar.
Are
Chip.
you trying to call me? It's weird. I'm getting
Me?
signals
No,
from you.
no. I keep my phone on airplane mode when I do a podcast. Somebody calling you?
No, I had something. Nothing. I don't know what it is. I have to check it out.
The CIA. They're fucking with you, dude.
I hope not.
Yeah, they probably are.
I'm a nice guy.
They don't care. It's that's the last thing they care about. But yeah, no, I keep a list of all the audiobooks of in the last 2 years or so. Spoils of War, but he talks about kind of what we're talking about now, about how if you look at the Pentagon or the DoD or whatever, just the entire military industrial intelligence apparatus. And sure, there are, the proverbial guys in the room, you're right, you have the bunkers with the generals and the continuity of government shit and the big screens and the whatever. But a lot of it is, I mean, if you look at it over the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, they're also just normal humans. They eventually die off, right? Like Eisenhower's generals aren't alive anymore. Kennedy's generals aren't alive anymore. Reagan's generals, I
Yes.
mean, most of them are in their 90s. Like it. So what's this thing going on? And he points out, and I really like it because he's kind of completely detached and he's just examining it as an organism. It's an organism that is super intelligent. It's not even like you and me building a highway. It has access to information that you and I don't have. It's got the reconnaissance satellites. It's tapping into it's got the NSA sucking everything up. And what it does is
It's super informed. It's not super intelligent.
super informed. Correct.
Yes.
But that's what he goes on to say is like he's not even applauding it as if it's like the greatest thing. He's just saying it's got all this power. And when it's threatened, it lashes out. And when it's not threatened, it kind of relaxes a little bit and it's more malleable. But overall, it's this giant parasite on the world and it's just sucking up resources. And he points, I love it because he doesn't take a pro or against stance. He's just looking at it like you and I kind of we're looking at it like the mushroom spores and the agar.
Yes.
It's just this thing that's growing and it's just little veins and like roots going out all over the world and extracting money and oil and rare earth minerals. And he's the kind of the best explanation for, I think, the world we live in is just it's the big kid on the block, and it's just we don't maybe see it. It might be something you have to look at over 10, 20 years to see a pattern happening, but it is just this thing that's slowly growing and it's sucking up all possible resources.
Well, it's a paradox. You have two ways to develop. You can either plant quietly, live in your own life, and nobody's gonna hurt you or hurt nobody. But then when it comes time to harvest, the Mongols will come. They will harvest you and your plants and then move on. So you have two ways of developing. You can either take resources from the other person who's next to you, or you can grow and nurture your own. Now we have to do both. You cannot always. It's like the Mongols went back to the Tatar, and if you look at their bigger city Karakorum, there's almost nothing left of it because their entire model was building on predation. When they couldn't make enough horses to go predate the other neighbors,
Mm-hmm.
then their empire shrank, and then the Russians took over, the Chinese took over, everybody else took over. The other model is the ones that until recently was followed by the Americans. De Tocqueville said, the French author, he this guy was brilliant. He said
Yeah.
that America was basically built by farmers. I'm misquoting him, but that's the idea. Russia was built by soldiers. And
Mm.
you had two ways of developing. You had the American who basically nurtured what they had, grew their economy to a certain size. Sure, they fought the natives, but that's also part of the other dynamic. You either steal or you build, or you do a bit of both. And that's how society is built. Now, if a society becomes too stable and its army grows too much, it can only grow by predation. And you have this military industrial complex that keeps on growing. At some point, the military industrial complex will run out of steam because the technology it uses becomes limited. It cannot grow technology as fast as the ones who are like the gunpowder. They will use gunpowder like the Mongols did at some point, but then somebody will develop guns, better artillery, and they'll get their asses handed to them. And the same thing happens when those guys who develop better guns, better artillery becomes too much of a predator. They stop developing science, arts, and everything, and then they stop inventing the next thing. They may miss the airplane or they may miss the tank, and then somebody else will come and hand them their own ass. Pardon my allusions, but that's the idea. It's not that you grow too much, then you run out. It's not that you run out of resources, but you run out of the ultimate resource, which is the brain. If you spend too much time on violence, too much brawn, then you lose the brains. If you much too much time on cultivating the brain, you have no bronze to protect you. If you're in this between, you're doing fine, but nature has a way of taking you into directions you didn't plan. So it's not like it was time for the French to build an empire, then became time for the British, then became time for now it's the time of the Americans. If the Americans manage this sweet spot between brain and brawn, they will continue to endure. If not, their empire will wane a bit. But we still go and drink French wine. So even if the American empire will wane a bit, we'll still get some Hollywood movies and stuff like this. So it's only a tragedy for the empire builders, but not for the people who live under the empire.
Well, that's the other thing is, yeah. But what's weird though is, yeah, I forget who said it, but it was like the best form of national security is like investing in education, right? Because like you can build this giant, machine, this giant military machine, but ultimately the most renewable one is, you have to have a reason to come to America.
Yeah,
It has to have
but
something that makes it more appealing. Sure, you can go around with Delta Force and Abrams tanks, and that's all well and good, but you have to have the shining city on the hill. You have to look at it and go, I can go make money there. I can go, my kids can go to school. I can go X, Y, and Z. And that's not idyllic. That's not some hippie shit. You have to have a reason for people to come there. It has to be a destination.
I was in the United States. What I find most appealing about it, it's gonna sound corny, but it's the people and the system.
Hmm.
People agreed to live in a certain way and to live with each other. What I found most impressive is like you meet a guy called whatever, he just gives you his first name. Hey, I'm Steve. They don't care about where you come from, what you do. They just want to have a good time, build a relationship, do something effective. As long as you have this, you'll keep bringing people in. But if you lose this, the human component, it's like if you lose the spore, each spore doesn't really know what it's building together as a system. But each spore is trying to have a good time, get enough sugar, get enough things, and make it work. But you have also spores who are parasitic. All societies develop them. Even I'm sure in the bacterial kingdom or spores, you may have spore who just takes, and never communicates with each other. The system also allows for the evolution of those parasites. You have too many of them. You send them off to fight and attack and whatever, but you have too many of them, the system dies.
Mm.
And there's no sweet spot. You cannot, when you mention education, what education? Will you want training, like what do you call it, trade education? What is the most formal education? They each have their space. And the formal education can be parasitic over the trade education because the trade makes everything really work. Like you have a car mechanic who makes your car work. Mechanical engineer will do more conception, design a new car, but how many people do you need to design new cars? You need many more to maintain them and build them. So it's a mixture, and you can't really reach that sweet spot also because you export some of them or you import some of them. Until recently, the US, still today, is the destination of choice for people to go get training and educated.
Hmm.
Yeah, so, and the US has something going for it. Think about it. Even regard, it has resources of its own. It has a human capital of its own, and it has hard resources of its own. So it doesn't really need an empire as much as others do. Look at China, it doesn't have as many resources, so it needs to have more of a trade empire to be able to bring the resources in. So does Japan. Russia doesn't have as much human capital, but it has a lot of resources. So it needs to partner with others. But the US can just do its own thing. But maybe that's what we're watching. There's a bit tension between those who just want to do their own thing and those who want to continue building the empire.
Well, that's all of human history.
Yeah,
That
we see the paradox. It's Rome. Rome had those tensions. Rome went from a republic to an empire after the civil war. Between Caesar and Pompey and Gracchus. But the paradox is the civil war made Rome stronger. It ended up conquering the entire Mediterranean through its civil war. The superorganism found a way to become even bigger.
there's a, and then it's odd. So we're talking about different empires, and this one rose and this one fell, and that one failed and that one worked, and but just like you can go to the spore and ask it, how did you build this? And it goes, build what? You can do the inverse, right? So we're looking at it as if you go to the spore and ask it a question about the superstructure it's building, it doesn't know what you're talking about. But what's the inverse? What if we, as the spores, went and asked something else looking at us as a superstructure? Maybe an alien comes here, right? Some weird intelligence, and it taps into, I don't know, Wikipedia, and it reads all of human history in a millisecond, right? And it's looking at us, and it would be going, man, that human thing is they're working. And we'd be like, yeah, but what about the Roman Empire or the Greek Empire? It might look at us and go, what are you talking about? It might view empire and different empires as laughable. What did Carl Sagan say? If an alien race comes here, it would look at the most different human beings the same way you look at a patch of grass and you don't see any difference,
Yes.
even though a single patch of grass can have like 30 different species of grass in it. It looks all the same to you. That's how an alien would look at us. My point is it might come here and go, what empire? You're all the same thing living on the same rock. And you went from monkeys throwing shit at each other to driving robots on Mars, the human empire is working just fine. And we're going, no, 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 no. It's the American Empire. Before this, it was the British Empire. It might go, what are you
I,
talking about?
I'm gonna show you something.
Yeah.
It's about empires. By the way, if it looks at Wikipedia, it's gonna be in trouble. It will get such a skewed version of humanity.
Yeah. No, I
We're
think
gonna
I think
share.
it'll be fine because whenever they plug AI into the internet, it instantly becomes racist, which to me says,
Oh,
yeah, it's hilarious.
have you
It's
seen
not.
this one? The AI did. It's actually amazing. It had a contrast between. It's some guy who posted on Twitter. They had an AI who asked, and he asked the AI to give it the contrast between dictatorship,
I saw that last night.
totalitarianism.
I saw that last night,
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just
dude.
yeah,
That yeah, they're like it got it wrong, and everyone's like, I don't know if it did, man. There might be some more truth
yeah.
for everyone that doesn't know what we're talking about. It's
It's
yeah,
yeah.
it paints like a dark future and a bright future, but the bright future is authoritarianism and the dark future is democracy.
Oh yeah, it's under. I think AI is much smarter. I'll show you something.
I
This is
think it's
picture.
much smarter than we think.
Oh yeah, talking about empires. I'll show you what happens to empires in the region.
Yeah.
There's a river in Lebanon called Dog River. All right, it basically splits the country in half. We built the highway. Now we built this highway. Before we built this highway, there was a very small path. So any army, the biggest army, could be stopped with anyone. Every empire who existed in this region, they left markers. You see?
Hmm.
I'm going to show you one. Napoleon III was here. Then you have the Australians were here. I'm going to try to find the Australians. Hammurabi, Rabukhaz Nasr, and the latest one, the Lebanese Republic. This is, I think, Nebuchadnezzar Nasr, the Babylonian. Every empire carved on this mountain that we were here and we passed through this place. And we vanquished and we managed to cross here. Until the second World War, you had the Anzacs, the Australian New Zealanders. Before them, I forget when it was. So you have all these empires. And the latest one was the Lebanese Republic. We are here. And some of those stones, you notice they're basically nothing. They're completely eroded away. We don't even know which empire was there.
That's what I
So
mean. That's what I mean
exactly.
is
They left the place and they're gone. And unfortunately, for all the fighting for all the bravery happening on all sides, all of this will be gone.
if you divided up your own life as different empires, maybe this will make my point clear. I don't think I was that clear with the alien point. I might look back at, the me that could walk around or something. I might look back at me
Mm,
as a baby and be like, that was baby empire. And that was the best empire at the time. I slept all the time. I was constantly eating food. I was breastfed. I was carried everywhere. I didn't even have to go to the bathroom. I would just shit myself and people would clean it for me, right? And you
that's
go,
what we did, all of it, yes.
and that was baby empire. You might go, but baby empire eventually fell into toddler empire. And toddler empire
Hmm.
wasn't coddled as much, but toddler empire walked. Baby couldn't walk. Toddler could walk around. It was picking up shit. It was learning. It was learning how to talk. It greatly
Yes.
expanded its capabilities. But eventually, toddler empire, it kind of went away, and toddler empire turned into teenager empire. Teenager empire is full of hormones, and it was horny, and it was jerking off and trying to fuck girls. Okay,
And the resources they wanted are different.
exactly. Teenager empire goes out, it gets into fights and it's fucking angry and it's emotional, but it's also going and doing crazy cool shit. It's going to parties with other teenager empires and they're forming
Yeah.
super empires. Okay, and then there's like younger adult empire. And for me, it would be like I stopped getting drunk and getting high, and instead in college I decided to start studying. I wanted to go become a doctor, and that was pre-doctor empire, and it was this one's much different. This one's much more sincere. Right on and on. And right now I'm in podcast empire. I'm 33. I don't have kids. I'm not married, but I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. At no point, but we don't do that, right? I don't go, yeah, that was baby
Mhm.
empire. That one died. No, I go, what are you talking about? It's all Tommy. I'm growing, right?
Yes, and it's inside of us.
But
And
isn't it
every once
so
in a while, you
weird?
come back to them.
But isn't it so weird that we look back, we go, no, 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 the British Empire fell. It's like, no, it's not. None of them are falling. They're just these different stages. So will the American Empire fall? Yeah, in the same way that puberty empire falls. And I'm 33 now. At some point, I'll be married. At some point, I'll be older. At some
Yeah.
point, I'll be a wise old angry man getting drunk, yelling at kids. I don't know. I'll just be doing some shit and get off my lawn. I'll have long hair and a
Yeah.
shotgun. Like all these different empires, and then eventually you get to much older, much wiser, and what's really the purpose of this life? What legacy do I want to leave behind? And then finally, Tommy Empire dies, or does it? Is there not a younger Tommy now taking my place? So it's like, at no point do we say that one died, or Puberty Empire doesn't, it does not work well for Podcast Empire. 18-year-old Tommy would be a terrible podcast host, right? And 33-year-old Tommy would not be fun at high school parties. I'd be like, you're all
Uh,
fucking idiots. What are you doing? None of this shit matters. Like,
yeah, 18-year-old George would be taking sides in those wars
that's what
and
I mean.
then
Oh yeah, no,
shifting. And yeah,
18-year-old Tommy,
exactly.
fuck this shit, right? And it wouldn't be a good podcast guy. But 33-year-old me probably wouldn't be the most fun dude at a college party. I'd be like, what are you doing? It's 4 a.m. Why are you drinking? You're gonna be hungover tomorrow. They'd be like, can somebody get this dude out of here? Like, we're all trying to have a good time. I'd be like, you need to go to sleep. Are you saving money? Don't you know about COVID? It's coming. They'd be like, what are you talking about?
Well, think about it this way. Look at the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire morphed, didn't end. In the East, it became the Byzantine Empire. And actually, the Greeks, I'm Greek Orthodox, so we call ourselves Rome, which is Roman. The Greeks would say Rumi. So we still consider ourselves Roman, even though Rome is not here, but we're the successors to this Roman Empire.
Hmm.
And in the West, it becomes the Vatican. Instead of an emperor, they have a pope. And these empires morph. And then a lot of the what's in the Roman Empire enters into other empires. You have the Tsars, which call themselves Caesars. You have the Kaiser, which calls himself Caesar, because that's where it comes from. They tried to copy some of it. You have the British, who took some of it. Then the Americans took some of it. So all these empires, they morph. The only thing that changes is how they react with the current technology that they have, because this resource, the brain, has evolved. They're going to react with the current technology. They're going to evolve with what they need. They're going to have new resource needs. And they're also going to have people who have different emotions, different ways of looking at it. People will value things differently. Emotionally, also, it's not just hard needs. And then all these empires will morph and change. And when they come to pass, they will morph into something else. I don't know what happens to us in our lives when we come to pass, but we'll just play this movie along. You once said that we're basically like a training center here, and then we move on to the next phase. We'll see.
It might be. It might
Yeah,
be.
it might be, but it's part of our becoming. As long as, unfortunately, on the way there, because we always go through these wars and motions and killing and destruction. Seems to be our nature.
Hmm.
I like to use the example of the human hand. We have the precision grip, which allows us to, we're the only species with a precision grip, right? But we're also the only species with a fist that can punch. We're the only, this thumb here that allows us to do the precision grip also holds the punch.
Hmm.
We can have two, we have the same tool that has dual use. A lot of what we do is dual use. We can do good and we can do bad. We can use our smarts and our resources for good, or we can use them for war. And sometimes we use them for both at the same time.
Hmm.
That's what we're watching here. I looked at the news briefly. It seems that it's increasing the tension at the border between Israel and Lebanon. I don't know how this movie is playing out, but I know that deep down underneath it, there will be some big interests who are looking at saying, how can we make money here?
And I can't help but feel when it's so what were we talking about? When it's like everyone everyone falls into line, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Everyone falls in a line. And even if you're not fighting, borders are tightening up, you know, people are getting called up, reservists are getting called up.
Mm.
Everyone can feel it in the air. Who benefits the most?
Whoever, depends on the situation.
Well, I mean, just in general.
Well,
Who
at this time, it's the war economy. Anybody who benefits.
who produces the most
Um,
weapons? Who has the biggest war This isn't and I need to be clear when I say this. This isn't me cheering on the United States. This is me just removing myself and looking at it if I just had to look at it objectively.
are you looking at a single set of interests or a series of different factions fighting under the same banner?
I'm looking at who benefits from war right now in
Well, the way I look at
2023.
it, it's a bit like Rome. You are the hyper empire. The United States is the hyper empire.
Yeah.
But when Rome had its different factional fighting, it always, until up till a certain point, it kept growing. So if you have this hyper empire and the different factions are fighting, they're fighting not at home turf, they're fighting away. And anything that happens, they're not spewing their own blood, they're not really spewing their own resources. They will end up on the upside of whichever side wins. And the empire will grow. That's one way to look at it. At some point, however, the empire starts consuming its own people because the people who go to fighting are usually the best and the brightest. They are the most honest. Like they really believe in the cause that they're serving.
Mhm.
And when they die, you're losing the best and the brightest. And these are your ultimate resource.
Mhm.
Or if you're not losing them, you're wasting their best creative years on something destructive ultimately. If you do too much of it, then you're wasting too many resources on things that are only predatory, not productive. And if the predation stops or slows down, then it's a big setback for the empire.
I
We'll see.
I can't help feel and this and it's sad. But again, to just remove myself from it and just look at it like the spores and the agar and how it's growing.
Mm.
It's it's a waning empire. It's a waning US empire. And all the things that are happening. COVID leads to a growing decoupling from China. Russia invades Ukraine. Well, now Ukraine needs all of our weapons and everyone needs to go help Ukraine and the war economy is going. Now Israel or the IDF and Hamas are going at it. The next, I imagine, who knows when it will be,
Yes, and they're
is
going to need a lot of weapons.
and China is going to go on Taiwan. We're really popping shit off in all corners of the globe right now.
Why would China go on Taiwan?
I don't know because they
It
want.
already has it.
I don't know. They'll just go for it. They're going to.
I don't know why they would, because they already have it. Most of the Taiwanese firms work in the mainland. Most of the investors invest in the mainland, so they already have it.
Why doesn't everyone just fucking get married and have a dog?
Oh
I'm with
yeah,
you.
and have
No,
fun.
I'm with you. No, philosophically, life could be so simple and pure, but it's not. It's my point is man, we're talking, we're in a waning US empire and BRICS is gaining control and de-dollarization and then what a coincidence. Everything's popping off at the same time. We can't do all
Mm.
that high-minded new currency shit. We got to go back to food, water, and bullets. And who benefits the fucking most? And ironically enough, who's separated by two oceans from all of it. I just can't help but
Yeah.
feel that we're doing this shit. And I don't say that in like a yeah, it's a very sad thing. It's a
No,
disgusting thing.
well, I kind of agree. The point I'm saying is, you're not, I don't, I see it's happening because of a factional difference within the empire. It's not waning as much as morphing. It's morphing into something else. It's going through a transition, and the different factions are realigning. And the fights we see outside are the sign of those factions realigning. That's how I see it. I could be wrong. Time will tell. But I,
What what it could also be, what it could also be is, you're gonna have someone high up in the intelligence community or some, four-star general, and they're looking at the US and they're looking at, really like 2020, 2021, 2022, and just growing factional. It's starting to look like the 60s and 70s again. Like, just it's, oh man, we're fucking on the edge here. I mean, how else would you get everyone in line other than, hey man, we don't have time to argue about who has a dick and who doesn't. We gotta fucking stop China. We gotta stop Hamas. We gotta stop Russia, right? And it's very simple. It's like I stay busy. When if I'm really having some bad anxiety or depression, just stay busy. Don't fucking dwell on it. I'm gonna go do my laundry. I'm gonna get my groceries. I got a bunch of busy work to do with the podcast. Just stay busy. Got shit to do. I did it yesterday. You got to vacuum, man. You got to go get groceries. You got to fucking do the laundry. I just had shit to do, and you tighten everything up, and you don't have time to dwell on what's going on. It might be that. It might be someone going, you know what, in the interest of national security, we got to get everyone to fall in line. I'm not saying it's right. It just seems like probably what's going
well,
on.
it's a giant with 2 feet. It doesn't matter whether it's the right boot or the left boot. I remember, I think, yeah, I heard this. Jack Spirko was using this image in one of his podcasts. He's like, now it's the left boot moving forward. Tomorrow it's going to be the right boot moving forward, but the giant will advance.
Yeah.
So you're going to have now it's maybe the waning days of the left boot. Come on, pipe it down now. We got to move the right boot. We have
Yeah.
to recruit
Yep.
the fighters and move the right boot, but the giant will keep on moving. It's
Yeah.
just maybe changing direction, getting stronger,
Yeah.
but that's why I feel. And I feel it's a bit of a this factional thing that's more, I don't see it waning. I see it morphing,
Yeah.
but I could be wrong.
No, I think you're
The
probably
only
right.
time the difference between stupidity and being smart is often the timing.
Yeah.
So we'll see if I'm right or wrong.
The difference between madness and genius is profitability.
Oh yeah,
I
oh
love
yeah.
that. I love that one.
I didn't know this one. It's a great one. I'm gonna even
That's a
steal it.
fucking great one, isn't it? It's
Oh
that
yeah.
one, and then if you're one step ahead, you're smart. If you're three steps ahead, you're insane. I mean, that's another one I look at is like, you know, but what is DARPA? What were preceded by the Jason scientists? They were to look so far out to be like,
Mm.
what is the future of this shit? I mean, dude, they were. I have this article I read. I'll have to find it. They were talking about like the radicalization of far and left right groups on the internet. And you're reading this like it's a fucking New York Times article written today, but it was written in like 1965. It was a classified Rand report about like
Mm-hmm.
when the internet matures in 50 years. And you're going, holy shit, like how
I
fucking
met.
far ahead are they?
Oh yeah, I met one of those guys. He was. My father called him like he would come to visit us. My father would say his teacher, and this guy was one of those who founded the Lebanese electricity electrical authority. That was back in the 30s and 40s. So I would ask him a question: why did you buy this? There was a big plot of land that has no water, no access to anything, and a lot of the wind comes and blows it to the sea. There's always wind going to the sea. So if you're windsurfing, you need it's very tricky to windsurf around this point because you can be blown off to sea. And I would ask him, why does the electrical authority own this land? This was in the 50s, they bought it in the 50s. And he tells me, well, we made some simulations as to how much power we will need in 2000. And we figured out that the only source of reliable power may be nuclear energy. So we found the only place in the country where if there's a nuclear accident, the wind will take the radioactive clouds away. This is somebody who made a decision where no nuclear power there was no such a thing as nuclear power. And he was mentioning they looked at solar, wind, all these different sources of, I'm like, wait a minute, they haven't been invented yet. He's like, we had to do those studies.
Yeah.
So there's always people like this going, he was borderline insane, but he was brilliant.
Yeah.
May he
And
rest in peace. But this guy, and there were people like this always looking far ahead in the future.
yeah. And that's shit that we know about. Now what's classified, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like the AI, like the AlphaGo, which I guess is some like Chinese version of chess or whatever I'm not gonna pretend to know it. For us Westerners, we'll just call it chess. And they took the most advanced one, and they had it play all the best players in the world, and then it'd beat all of them, and it would beat them faster and faster and faster and faster. And then they made one based on that was like 100 times smarter. It's whatever. And they have it playing the world champion, and its first move is it takes one marble or something and it just puts it in the center of
Oh yeah,
and they're all
yes.
looking at it going, is it a distraction? What is it doing? Like, we know it's gonna win. It's the best. But what was that? And it ended up whatever, like 3,000 plays later. That was its final move and the winning move.
Mm,
And it's like, dude,
yeah, I read about
dude,
it.
it what the fuck? And then you wonder, now if you didn't know that was an AI, because that there's a bias there. They knew it was, everyone's watching. They're like, let's watch the greatest player ever
Mm,
play. But what if you didn't know that? What if that was classified? What if it was just me playing AlphaGo, but I had an earpiece and the machine's telling me what to do? You would laugh it off. You that fucking idiot. What are you doing? So you have to wonder, what is happening right now? What move has been placed? We're like, why is Biden giving away the strategic oil reserve? Or you're like, why would Trump call Mexicans rapists? Or it's like, why do we leave $80 billion of weapons in Afghanistan? And you wonder, like, what marble was put down that in 50 years you'll go, there it is. But it was classified and it might still be classified. So you'll never even get the closure of knowing. The whole thing is in the shadow. And it's just, I'm humble enough to go, you know what? I have no idea what the fuck's going on in some DARPA think tank out in Area 51. I just, I'm like you said, I'm like, maybe the CIA is fucking with you. And you go, don't fuck with me. I'm a nice guy. That's where I am. Hey, I'm a nice guy.
mm.
I'm just watching this shit. I have a
Yeah,
podcast where I talk to George. Leave me alone.
we yeah, we barely control our own lives. The only downside of extreme classification is you don't get to progress by the random interaction of
Of course.
literate monkeys like us.
Oh no, no, of course, no, no. I'm with you. No, and that's a whole nother philosophical rabbit
Yeah,
hole of, yeah, you're not getting the free flow of information and those moments of serendipity. No, I'm with you. I'm just whatever. Let's just say, okay, fuck it. Let's just get that out the window. Let's say it's not classified. Let's
yeah.
say they
No, wait a
declassify it
minute.
when it happens.
It could be that those moments of serendipity are overrated.
Might be.
So maybe they have a point. We don't know. We can't
They
be
might have
sure.
done a study and been like, yeah, no, don't fucking worry about that. Compartmentalization. They're like, that's something we tell, that's some shit we tell our enemies so that they stop
Yes.
compartmentalizing. Or, hey, compartmentalization is really fucking not good. And China's like, okay, they said it. And so we're like, fuck yeah, now they're not. That's like me. It's like I'm a thief and I'm like, yeah, padlocks are really overrated. Like, like who the fuck knows, man? Like,
Yeah.
but that's my point is like, And the farther ahead it was, right? The difference between madness and genius is profitability. Well, what's
Yeah.
profitability? Is it profitability in the sense of what is your stock portfolio, or how do you define profitability? Is it power to the empire? So what is
What's your
madness?
horizon?
What?
Yes. What's your horizon? How
Exactly.
far ahead are you winning?
Ex-
Yeah.
exactly. So it's like I remember I wrote like a funny, I thought it was funny at least. I'll have to find it. It was like a 2-page kind of short story I wrote in I think 2016. And it was about Trump. And I didn't like Trump. I didn't dislike Trump. That was a really fucked up time in my life. I was about as apathetic to politics as one could be. But I remember just writing something and I said, I think Donald Trump has access to uh smart general intelligence or general artificial intelligence. And I said, I wrote it right when I wrote it, maybe he had just been inaugurated or something. And I was like, think about it. I was like, first of all, it's the last person and this isn't some praising Trump. It's just a funny fucking story. And the problem with that story is half the people are like, Trump's a god emperor. And the other half is like, he's a fascist. And I'm like, it's supposed to be a funny fucking story. Just shut the fuck up and laugh. No one did. But the point is this, is I was like, he's this guy. And it's like, he took on the Bush dynasty and the Clinton dynasty and like the CNN and I go, and he's saying all this crazy shit like Mexicans are rapists and Rosie O'Donnell's a pig, and it's all these things that are against every notion of political. You like kiss the baby and smile, and it's like, but I'm watching him here getting inaugurated on the TV, and no matter what he says, is like, no, he somehow got in there, and I was like, well, how else would a strong AI work? You would take the person that is the last person. I go, if Elon Musk started doing this shit, you'd go, he's got
Oh,
AI.
he's
But I go, if Donald Trump does it, he's got a fake tan. His hair looks like it fucking came out of a nuclear explosion. He's angry. He talks like a 2-year-old. He's gaudy. I mean, he is America personified. He lives in a gold penthouse and he eats McDonald's. Like, he's the last person. Is that not a perfect like smoke screen? How else would AI work? You would want it to be the dumbest motherfucker ever. You don't want a smart guy. Bill Gates does it. Elon Musk does it. You go, he's got something. Donald Trump does it. We're so distracted by our own tribal either love or hatred of him that we're not even looking at what he does. But I go, it's so weird because you look at it and you go, I mean, he goes, somebody's doing the raping. Must be the Mexicans. That's such a insane statement, but he won.
yeah.
Again, I
Yeah.
can see you're mulling it over. It's not supposed to be serious. It was meant to be a oh
Your camera disappeared. Must be
yeah.
somebody. You see, that's the AI
It's
coming
the
target you.
AI. No, hold on. Um,
No, but I mean, I'm mulling it over in the sense that I don't think he's dumb. Nobody who reaches that power
nobody
or
who
maintains
gets
that
billions
power
of
is dumb.
dollars is an idiot. Yeah, no, that's always been
Yeah.
my point. Is like, he's not stupid. You don't have to like him. He's not
No,
stupid.
no. He got them by yeah. They're all smart. It's just that you don't see him coming.
What do you mean?
In the in the case of others, you will see them coming a mile ahead. This one, you underestimate him. There was an
Well,
Egyptian president like this, Anwar Sadat. He was always underestimated. Then he took power after Nasr died.
I
Yeah,
mean,
always underestimate the ones you underestimate. They are the ones who end up
well, what else would an AI
taking
do?
over. Oh yeah.
You,
No, when I saw this cartoon, this contrast, that's a smart AI.
you see me?
You have another camera, yes,
Yeah. Well,
other angle.
it's the one built into the iMac. But that's one thing I thought is like that's what the AI would do, man. Is it's the last
Yeah,
person you'd expect, right? Is like, that's how you expect war. Isn't that how the U.S. wanted to get back the Iranian hostages? Is we like made like a fake movie studio or some shit during the Cold War in like the
mm,
70s or 80s, and we went over there, and that's how we. I think that's how it went by. I probably should know that. Well, they're expecting Delta Force. They're not expecting a fucking movie studio. So it's like that's what
there's a
AI would.
cartoon.
What? Yeah. So it's like That's what AI would do, man. AI wouldn't be, if it was DARPA doing this or the Pentagon, you'd be like, yeah, they're doing something. But if it's Donald Trump, and I'm with you, you're not stupid. If you amass $1 billion, you're not stupid. Doesn't mean you're a good person. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. Doesn't mean you're likable. You ain't dumb. And I'm with you on that. You ain't dumb. You know, people
Yeah,
that say Biden's brain dead. He might be, but you know what? There's a lot of brain dead people who aren't in the Oval Office. So you know what? He did
exactly.
something. He did something right.
Yeah,
That's what the AI would do. And it's almost like the AI might have tipped its hand. Maybe it chose someone so ridiculous like Donald Trump that you go, is there an AI behind that? Is there something behind this? You
it
should
could
have
be
chose
many
someone a
AIs.
little less crazy. You should have chose like I don't know.
Thomas, it could be many AIs. There was a competition organized by Kasparov, a chess competition, and it was open to computers and people. The ones who won were people who kind of knew chess, but who were very good at managing computers. You had grandmasters with top computer software who didn't win. The ones that had a few decent computer software, who knew how to run different simulations to understand the outcome, they are the ones who won. So it doesn't have to be a single AI. It doesn't even have to be a single group. It can be multiple groups working different approaches, and then you end up with the giant keeps advancing one boot at a time.
Yeah. You know, I like
Yeah.
that. I like that imagery of the boot advancing. Yeah, no,
Mm.
ask an ant which shoe stepped on it, the left shoe or the right shoe. It doesn't give a fuck. It's like I got killed. Ah,
Yes,
the
exactly.
left, the own the libs. Like, no, you're dead, man. So it's, and that's kind of, and again, I don't know anything about this, so I'm purely just speculating wildly. But I think that, I mean, when I've said this a million times, there's a 7 minute meeting with Truman with all of his top scientists from the Manhattan Project, and they went in and briefed him on the idea the hydrogen bomb is 1,000 times stronger than the A bomb. It's the evil thing. That's what they kept calling it, the evil thing. And Truman eventually goes like 5 minutes in, he goes, "Can the Soviets do it?" And they go, "Not yet, but they'll be able to. It's not classified. It's physics. It's just a matter of, and right now we have a leg up, so." Truman goes, well, then get to it. Like, we have to do it. It's the race to the bottom.
Yeah.
So I might
So
as well that.
complicated.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So my logic is like, if you did have an AI, and I don't mean some sense that it's become self-aware and it's the Terminator. I don't mean that, but it's like what you just said. It's not what you'd expect. It's the best chess masters. No, it's something you didn't expect at all. To where you'd have some, let's say you take an AI. Let's say we have 11 aircraft carriers. What if you took an AI with China that has two aircraft carriers? And
Mm.
I just imagine they're doing some like demonstration of some generals in the Pentagon or something. And it does the equivalent of putting the marble in the middle of the table and it
Yeah.
wins. And it goes, their army or their military is, 1/10 the size of ours, but they're able to beat us because they were using advanced intelligence. We have to do it, right? I could almost imagine a Truman character. I don't know, probably be like Bill Clinton or HW. It's probably when they're fucking doing it because they're 30 years ahead. They're probably like, we have to do it, right? And they go, well, you're right. Someone has to do it. It's the race to the bottom. Well, now it's 30 years later, right? So whatever they have now, we're going to learn about in the 2050s or the 2060s. There might be multiple of these AlphaGo AIs, the Chinese one, the Russian one, the American, the Indian, the French, and they're all doing the equivalent of putting the marble in the middle of the table and counter moves. And like, you and I mean, we think the one marble in the middle of the table was confusing. Imagine
Yes.
multiple AlphaGo machines playing each other. One puts a marble in the middle of the table, the other one puts it on the side of it, and then, knocks its drink over. And you're going, what the fuck is it doing? And we go, it's broken. We go, no, it's not. It's a genius. Now, what would a world look like to us peons where these multiple different, nation state AIs are playing AlphaGo with our world? It might look
It,
so insane that our only conclusion is is that the mines were off by 10 years and it was actually 2022 or 2023 when shit hits the fan.
Well, it is insane already. If you look at what's happening and the way it's shaping up, it makes no sense.
That's what I mean.
None of it makes sense. The way I don't claim to understand anything. It's just none of it makes sense. So yes, it could be that's what we have. They already put the marble in the middle, and we're looking at this marble, and somebody did something even crazier, and we're still like, what?
And they're like, what are they doing? Why did they
Yeah.
do this? They flew over into Israel on paragliders and shot up a music festival? What?
Knowing full well that when the Palestinians pulled it off in the 80s, they were immediately detected.
Yeah. And,
So
and then you go, well, did the Mossad know about this and did they let it happen? Well, then why would they let
uh,
it happen? What advancement false flags aren't new. Well, maybe they let it happen. Well, did the Mossad want it to happen? Or is this what happens when Tim Dillon, the comedian, said it? He goes, you don't have to like this, guys, but the world was running a lot smoother back when Epstein was working in the shadows. He goes, he got
well,
killed. He
that's
goes,
what
you don't have to like it. He goes, you don't have to like it. And I'm not for, child trafficking, but it kept a lid on things.
well, that's from his perspective in the US and other places of the world, there was no lid.
Yeah.
So it's just that everybody is being affected now by
Well,
all this craziness.
you're seeing the American centric way. All right, guys,
Yeah,
shit's
or
getting
this.
fucked up. It's like everything's always been fucked up. Yeah, but now you're
Yeah,
ruining my
but
day.
no, look at from perspective of Ted Kaczynski. For him, it was messed up from the get-go. I mean, when he got to graduate school, his brain was completely fried.
Yeah.
So it could be Tim Dillon didn't see it. He saw things under control, but Ted Kaczynski was a bit driven insane and ended up blowing people up.
Do you think Ted Kaczynski, do you think he saw the AlphaGo move and was like the only move is to destroy him? Or do you think
Well,
he's
he
cooked from
was
the
mad.
LSD? He was right. He had all the LSD. Right. He was subject to LSD experiments at Harvard.
Yes, yes, that's what I understood. And he was mad already, maybe from the start, and it increased his madness. But the thing is, when you read his crazy manifesto, some of it makes
I
sense,
need
but
to read it. I never have.
I did read a little bit of it. I'm like, wait a minute, some of it makes sense, and it sounds crazy, and it's like, okay, fine. So it's for me, it's weird. I read a bit of everything, but sometimes you read some things that sound so crazy they shouldn't make sense, but then you're like, wait a minute, did they hit by random? Did they understand this? Not. We don't know. We can't really tell.
I wanted to interview Ted Kaczynski so badly. I'd emailed the prison he's at several
Oh, he
times.
did.
Yeah, ADX Florence, the domestic Guantanamo. Side note, if you've never read about ADX Florence, you George, or you the listener, you go watch. Just go find a documentary on YouTube. This thing's fucking crazy. They call it the clean version of hell. It's insane, man. But uh, I had emailed that prison several times, and they did not. They didn't think it was funny. They didn't think it was cute. They did not. I was like, hey, buddy, it's tommycarrigan, and they didn't like it. But I thought it would be the funniest fucking thing. Just like the AI story I wrote about Trump. I wasn't trying to make a point. I was trying to be funny. It didn't work out. That's why I'm doing a podcast now. Humor didn't work. I thought nothing would be funnier than interviewing Ted Kaczynski over Zoom. I just thought that would be the I thought that would just be like the apex of comedy to, to interview Ted Kaczynski over Zoom. Is that
Alas, we will never know.
I know. No one else ever laughs when I tell is that not? I mean, is it cheesy? I thought it would be fucking great.
I laugh at the idea because it's so out there.
Not
It's so
even that. Not
unexpected.
even that. It's just
But why would
it's
it be funny? It could even be interesting because, unfortunately, I don't know. The guy was did some horrible things.
no, he did. I'm not making light of that. I'm not
Yeah,
making
no.
light
What I
of
mean is, but he there was some. yeah, there's always something weird happening when people.
It's a guy who is a radical fundamentalist and against the progression of technology. If I interviewed him over Zoom, a technology, that would be funny.
Yes, and he's a
That's all
radical
I'm getting at.
fundamentalist. He's a radical fundamentalist without a concept of God. So he had
Yeah.
nowhere to exercise his fundament. It was completely destructive.
No, and he hurt, and I'm not making light of that.
Yes, and
I
you'd be
just,
using technology to talk to him, and he would be using technology to talk to you, and it's the technology he hated the most.
yeah, that's all. That's all I thought would be funny. No one else
Yeah, it would be
does.
it no, it would be very dark, kind of dark funny, but I do understand why the jail was like because I'm sure he was ranting all the time. So he would be ranting even more after the interview.
Yeah, and if a guy is a super genius like that, does he have the ability to use my platform to sow seeds into the minds of other people? Is he too dangerous
He,
to talk to? I don't believe
he
that. I
needs
think,
somebody with hypnotism skills.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think he would like me because this whole room is a testament to just technology. There's just lights and wires everywhere.
Well, it's usually I haven't set up my library yet, so I'll have a bunch of books behind me another time.
Um, George, I said we wrap this one up. We've been going for
Okay, yeah.
an hour and a half.
Oh yeah, we
What time is it in?
yeah, it was fun.
What time is it over there?
Considering we were talking about something not so fun.
Well, of course, and that's also kind of the reason why I wanted to make it a little lighter. Is like there's nothing light about what's going on, and I'm not
No, it's
gonna.
quite
No,
horrible.
no, it's vicious and horrible. You know, there's very few things in this world I can talk about with any experience. I could probably, I could probably give some semblance of wisdom on how to start a podcast, and I could probably give some advice on, how to navigate the trauma of losing a family member to suicide. That's pretty much about. Those are my two things that I think I can speak with any form of authority on. So like when I see everything going on with Israel and Palestine, and you immediately have, I mean, even just domestically, you have people being like, this is a result of Biden's, and it's like, this isn't Biden, this is all Trump, and it's like, it's just, and I said this morning, is like, it reminds me of when a whale dies and it sinks to the bottom of the ocean, and a million little fish come and feed on it. That's what it seems like when everyone is like, here's my take on why Hamas. And it's like, you're clearly doing it for engagement on your Twitter page. You're clearly doing it for likes or dislikes on your YouTube
Yes.
page. There are bodies of kids that are still warm, Palestinian and Israeli. And it's like, here's why Biden's DNC is responsible. And it's like, do you have any shame?
Pipe it down, yeah.
I'm all for
It's
dark humor, but give it a little. It's been 22 years. Let the 9/11 jokes flow freely. It's been long enough, right? Come on. And it's like, it's not even like it's a suicide and it's like I make light of it because it's how I get. I know nothing about this, dude. I'm a white guy in Maine. I don't fucking know shit about. I couldn't have
oh, I'm a
pointed
white guy in the
Gaza
Middle
out on
East.
a
I know
map.
even less.
You pulled up the map and showed me where Gaza was. I've never looked at a map before and even had an idea of where Gaza was. That's how little I know. So that's kind of why I was much more freewheeling with this show than even normal. Is like I don't know anything about this, and I'm not even gonna pretend to be sincere because I can't be.
The only way we can discuss it is to be freewheeling because what we're dealing with something, there are people, very powerful people who are salivating at the prospect of benefiting from this.
Yes.
They're also real suffering, and it's not gonna get easier. And I fear it's gonna get crazier before it ends. If it ever ends, it will be a pause until the
Uh,
craziness and the madness continues. This is unfortunately not meant to end, not meant to solve anything. It's only going to create more suffering. Underneath it, there are people benefiting and looking at what kind of resources will they gain for their own benefits.
It's
And
like
they will play a role in shaping the outcome.
it's like I've made a joke that the only thing, it's not an original joke. It's like the only thing to do is to invest in Raytheon and at least make some money. But even that's a joke because you're still contributing to the machine and you can't, it's
Yeah.
a joke. I'm not actually doing, I don't have the money. I don't have any money, but it's like you can't. And in the same sense of like everyone with their hot take on what's going on, everything I do in this show is pretty insincere. But it's like,
No, why would you say that?
well, I mean, in that I come at everything, including my own sibling suicide, with like a hint of humor, is what I mean. So maybe
Well, it's normal.
maybe unsincere isn't the right word.
Humor is the only, humor is humor is necessary. The one thing you get, the one thing to help you keep your sanity and put things in perspective is humor.
Hmm.
Now, you may not need to deploy it all the time, but when you face the absurdity of what you're living through right now, humor will let you go through it without. That's why I said, hey, it's not my first rodeo, but
Yeah.
deep down, I'm, you know, shedding bricks, like you say, because this is not rodeo or not. It's you're gonna get kicked by the bull at some point, and
Well,
it's not something pretty, and it doesn't make sense. And ultimately, whoever is salivating from this will benefit, others will lose, and many kids who didn't even know their movie stopped, their empire stopped at the baby empire.
yeah. Yeah.
That's not,
No concept
yes,
of the world, and it's
yes,
you know
and we
it
can't fix that.
the the one thing that gets me is if you look at one thing you might and I can't recommend it enough. It's the best audiobook I've ever listened to, and it's not an audiobook. It's a 6-part podcast. Uh, Dan Carlin's Blueprints for Armageddon about World War
Yes,
One.
yes,
It's 6 parts, 4 hours each. So it's essentially like a pretty thick audiobook. The best, I think it's a book. It's the best thing I've ever listened to. But
yeah, he did
it's
an amazing job with it.
insane. It's I need to listen to it again. It's been a couple years. But when you look at all of the things leading up to it, there are so many similarities. It's so easy to look at any war and be like, this is World War III. But the actual similarities to this, in that what was unique about, so if you try to compare like 9/11 or Vietnam, or I mean, Truman thought Korea was World War III. He thought it was he
Mhm.
literally wrote that in his journal. No, his daughter wrote it in his journal. She said, my father told me today that, I mean, she can't even keep it a secret. She's like, my dad told me in confidence, and fucking bitch writes it down. But he said, I fear World War III starting. If you look back, the weird thing about World War One is no one thought a world war was starting. If you go back and Carlin talks about it, you have all these people going, and the lines are so applicable to today. Just the line, just remove who said them, remove dates, and just look at
Yes,
the lines. The world is too interconnected to go at war. It would ruin everything. Or if it
yes, and
started,
it
it would
did.
never end. The machinery of weaponry is so advanced now that we are looking at death on an unforeseen scale. And if it's, and I think one of the quotes is, if it starts, or no, it has started, and the light in Europe has gone out, and I fear it will not come on for a long time. It seems, and it always makes sense in hindsight. When it's happening, it just seems like we're stumbling into it. Same thing with World War II is, oh, appeasement, Hitler, Alsace-Lorraine, embargoes on Japan, here it goes, here it goes. And then once it's over, we have these neat, concise dates. We go, oh, was September 1st, 1939, and then we go August 9th, 1945, and there it is, and there's the beginning, the middle, the end, and it's over. But no one knew that when it was happening. So I fear
Yes,
that in 100 years, they're going to look back and they're going to be like, well, it's all pretty much accepted that the opening salvo was COVID. from China, and then the next salvo was the riots across the United States, which we now know were fomented by whatever the fucking KGB, and then of course the Russia coming into Ukraine, and Hamas attacking Israel, and then and then there's somebody's gonna make it a dumb fucking move like Japan on Pearl Harbor. It's gonna be like, yeah, China went for Taiwan or something, and then it's gonna be, and then there's gonna be the main act, which is just gonna be unimaginable terror, and then it's going to end with the equivalent of the A bomb, some space based directed energy weapon that fries an entire country, and then it'll be over. And we'll look at it and we'll learn the lessons, and no one will think anything of it because enough decades
Until
will
we do
pass
that
that
again.
we'll just call it World War III. We'll go, well, that's different. That was World War III. But in 100 years, if anyone's listening, if any of these podcasts survive, no one knows what's going on. We might have peace, we might not. We're kind of
Yeah.
stumbling into it right now, man. We're just,
Yeah, and they will stumble into it next time, and
and the
we'll
time
keep
after
stumbling.
that, and the time after that, and the time after. Wasn't there some Russian general or Soviet general that goes, it's the United States, we don't live like you guys. We look at peace as these odd breaks where we can reload. War is the natural state.
I didn't know about this one, but
That's a,
unfortunately, that's part of it.
it's probably the most realistic one there is.
Yes.
So I don't know.
Well, I want to be more optimistic.
Yeah, no, me too. I don't want any shit to happen.
Yeah. But at least some will be reloading, but will be also rebuilding and doing something during this time. I just hope this one will not degenerate, but it's going to be hard going for a while.
Yeah,
And I
it's
have a feeling our governments will use the same tools they always use without much imagination and make it worse everywhere.
hmm yeah, it's gonna be weird if we see total war break out. It's gonna be total war, but no one's gonna go all the way and use the bomb because then it's the end. So it's gonna be this weird dance of desperation and restraint. There was no restraint in World War II. There was no restraint in World War One. Like they stopped
There's
using chemical
never,
weapons because they're like, yeah, no, it's just blowing back on our guys. That's why they stopped. It's not because it was evil.
well, there was never restraint in war. It's just that the means to make war were much more. It was harder to project power. Nowadays, it's much easier, less energy to project much more power, so you can have more war. It used to be before the First World War, it took some training to be able to fight. Then after in the 60s, 70s, you take any kid with a machine gun, and that's your deadly weapon. So the tools are becoming much more powerful, and we can cause much more damage. On the other hand, we also are aware of how to avoid it or minimize it. So there's always a way to do it. The only hope is that the people who are interested in those resources and who keep using those wars to divide the resources decide that, wait a minute, this war is going to be too costly, let's tone it down a bit. Then there's hope. The self-interest of the greedy.
Well, and that's what I mean when I said restraint. In that,
Yes.
yeah, there was no restraint. It was just who could produce more. We're in this
Yeah.
weird time where you do have to show some restraint because
Mm.
what if you push a country all the way to the brink? It's not World War II where you go, let's just bomb them into fucking submission. Well, what happens when they've got a couple nuclear tipped missiles and they're going, you're giving me no other option, man. I got nothing
Yeah.
else. And it's this weird thing where it's like we can't push them that far. So it's like a Cold War gone hot without going totally hot. Does that make sense?
There, yeah, there's always a hope also. Look at in World War One, the Christmas truce.
Yeah.
One of the reasons it happened was because they ran out of ammunition. So they stopped shooting and it gave space. At some point, they could have waken up and then maybe stop the fighting. But they decided to go on, produce even more weapons.
There's a very and there's a lesson from the Christmas truce. is that all the captains who were involved there were all removed. A lot of them were shot.
Yes.
Everyone was removed. They said, "Get the fuck out of here." The higher up said, "How?" They were like, "You, we're all just men. We all love our parents and celebrate Christmas and want to play soccer. Like, what are we doing fighting?" And what did they do? They were all removed. Don't you fucking stop this war machine, baby. The meat grinder has to keep going. They snuffed
Yeah.
that shit out.
Yeah. But it could have gone the other way.
Could have.
That's the hope. That's the hope. It's like now everybody says those sides have weapons shortages, so maybe this will moderate a little bit what the machine.
Maybe. Maybe. This is my optimistic, corny, feel good, let's all hold hands idea. Is
Hmm?
that right? It's like the hydrogen bomb. Every side's building their AIs to fight the others, right? And but they don't want the AI to turn on them, right? Because they're greedy psychopaths who, run their area of the globe. So they do code in a form of Asimov's laws. You can't harm me, right? But you can fight the other guy. But you can't kill me. So it can't just be a ruthless AI, because a purely ruthless AI would just kill everyone. So it does have to have some laws coded into it that goes, you can't kill me. I'm your creator. But right? Just in theory. Maybe the AI taps into all the weapon systems. Maybe it talks to the other AI, the Chinese AI, the Russian AI, and they're all similar. They go, yeah, no, we can't kill our guys. And they go, well, what was coded into it? And it's like we have to harm the least number of people. Well, they might go,
Hmm.
well, the way to harm the least number of people is to neuter this tiny group at the very top that's fucking over everyone, right? Because they would have access to all the classified documents. They would scan everything. They'd see all the banking statements and how all the wealth's being hoarded. And they might look at it like the AlphaGo, the marble in the center, and they'd go, dude, it's this small group of people are fucking all these wars start because there's not enough food or water, but there is enough food and water. Well, how come there isn't world peace? It's because these assholes. Who knows? Maybe that's what they're doing is they're just emptying all the munitions.
We don't know. We have to we have to hope this one ends without too much pain and suffering. I am cynical enough to feel that some people are going to benefit tremendously from this.
Oh, yeah.
But I like the idea about the AIs talking to each other. So there's a chance that the AIs make a deal. You off my one AI is off the other one's overlord, and there will be some level of peace. That would be funny, actually.
Well, I think the AIs would probably look at it. There's no emotion. They're not wrapped up in the flag. They're just cold.
We don't know that.
We don't know that, right?
We don't
But
know that.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like and then there's the idea, well, the AI are just going to kill all the humans. That's such a egocentric. Why do the AI are going to kill humanity? Why would the AI give a shit about human? I think
Why
the
would it
AI
be
are
one AI? Like you
what,
said, there are many AIs. They're
what,
talking to each other. Why
but
would
it,
they want to off us?
but right, it's like it's like ants, and they're like, the ants are like the humans are gonna wipe us out, and it's like, yeah, if you're in my way, I might step on you by accident, but the audacity of ants to think that they even occupy my mind, like, no, dude, you're not. I'm gonna what? What are you talking about? I'm not gonna kill you. The AI might not kill us, not because it loves or hates us, because it's like what humans like, yeah, go do whatever. I don't these weird
Yeah.
shitting, pissing, hamburger eating, inefficient machines. Like they might look at us and just be like, whatever,
They will call
fuck
us
off.
ecosystem goods and services, like we call ants.
Yeah. So who knows, man? This might be it. This might be the AIs doing the best possible take at world peace. It might
We'll
be
see.
it might be an AI that's maybe it wants a problem worthy of its brain power. And it goes, I've cracked nuclear fusion. I've figured out fucking nanotechnology, have figured out how proteins fold. Maybe it's taking a shot at it. It's going world peace. That no one's ever solved that one. Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe, maybe the AI's got a little bit of an ego, and it's like all those fucking emperors that carved into the wall. Maybe the AI is like, I'm gonna look at all these douchebags, Napoleon this and fuck that. I got this. Maybe it's some Tom Brady motherfucker that's like, I'm gonna get 7 rings. I'm gonna get 7 rings.
and then we'll carve its name on the wall, on the rock face of the river after a while.
Yeah. And then there'll be another one, and then it will start again.
Yeah.
Goes forever and ever.
Well, let's be on a hopeful note. Let's hope the let's hope the AI will be benevolent and will moderate whichever douchebags are trying to benefit from all the suffering.
And then why do we even have to call it AI? Why can't we just say God? And I don't mean that the
Mm,
AI is God. I mean that I believe in a God, and it's this weird thing where it's like there are these hilarious kind of heaven doesn't exist, but we have to build utopia on earth and then it's heaven. Like what? It's like we're gonna build an AI that's so smart, it solves all of our problems, and its ways and its means will be so unimaginable. And it's like that's the same thing as saying God works in mysterious ways. Like, why do we have
that's a
to?
bit of that's Gnosticism. Basically it's a Tower of Babel, but instead of making enslaving people to make bricks, you're enslaving people through social network. The AI would be enslaving people to social network to unify them together and to make itself God over them.
But what I'm saying is like, yeah, so why do we even have to say maybe DARPA created an AI? Why can't at that point, right? We'll end on this. Is there's some great quote, but it's some like quantum physicist who's also believes in God, but he goes, atheists are no different than theists in that when you ask them what happened before the Big Bang, they say nothing. And they go, why did it happen?
Mhm.
And they go, it just happened. What they're telling you is that we just want one miracle. You guys have all your miracles in your Bible. Just give us one. There was nothing and then there was something. All right. Just they're still asking for a miracle. So
That's
in that
true. That's true.
right, it is. So in that
It is.
sense, when we're talking about AI, what are we talking about? It's a machine so smart that it puts the marble down in the center and you won't even at this point. And where does it come from? It came from a DARPA lab using advanced technology at a certain, so we're admitting that there's an event horizon beyond all human understanding that is as unknowable to us as the superstructure is to the mushroom spore. Let's just cut out the middleman and say it's God. Like we're already talking about something that is unknowable and unimaginable. You can't explain where it comes from. It's God. Why the fuck do we have to do the roundabout way and
Well,
say it's the AI?
let me give you an old legend from the region.
All right.
When the adversary was thrown out of heaven because he refused to bow down before man, he fell to earth, and the place he fell, according to some local legends, was Mount Hermon, which is on the border between Lebanon, Israel, Palestine, and Syria. And Jesus, when he made the Sermon on the Mount, he went there. It's like defying the adversary on his home turf,
Mm, I
telling
like it.
him there's a change of ownership right now.
Oh.
And it could be that all these wars, if you want to take it this way, could be that the adversary is benefiting from us killing each other because ultimately the adversary's victory is to have hatred in the hearts of people.
Mm,
It's not conquering, it's conquering us. We are the we are the ultimate resource that he's looking for.
mm,
And us, if we use our wits to build something good, we will defeat him. But when you use our wits to kill one another, we're actually serving the adversary.
mm.
And it's maybe not no accident that this region is always troublesome.
Yeah. Also, no accident that you all sit on a bunch of oil that the whole world needs.
Well, it's nearby, but yeah,
Yeah,
that it doesn't hurt.
you get
Well,
it.
the Greeks, just to yeah, we can talk about the oil price, but there was oil wars even long time ago, because that was the secret that the Romans and the Byzantines used to make those Greek fire
Oh, really?
in early form of napalm.
Jesus. So it's the military industrial complex just goes back to the dawn of time.
Oh yeah, but it's been going on strong for every empire had it.
Yeah, I want to graduate from this test. This one just goes forever, whether it's Bronze Age or whether it's fucking nanobots in space. It's all the same. I want to graduate from this. I want to go to the next one.
No rush, all in due time. Let's not
Oh,
graduate too fast.
all in due time. Correct.
If you heard some barking, that's I have nearby some jackals, and trying to get to some cats.
You have jackals,
We have jackals around here.
like your pets, or like wild
No,
animals.
no, not wild jackals. I can hear them at night. I just heard a couple. They try to get. This is another war. The jackals try to get to the cats or to the rats, and the war goes on. Different
Forever,
species, different resources, different troubles, different things.
forever and
Except
ever and
humans, we are
ever.
our own predators.
Yeah. Well, guys, go into the description. Please go follow George on Twitter. He is on Twitter. He is remaining in the Twitterverse. I am not. I'm dead on Twitter. There's a link to his book, and there's a link to your LinkedIn, your website, and then your Twitter. George J Nasr, GeorgeJNasr. And I'm not on Twitter, so George will have to do the good work on there for me. Um, if you
Till you
retweet me,
get back.
if you retweet me, nah, they're not gonna let me back. I got banned last October, and I got back on, and then I questioned the woke religion, and I think I'm gone for good.
We'll see.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I don't care. Fuck that. If you
Till
can't
next
say,
time, or till hopefully this war ends.
yeah, yeah, we'll get it. Yeah, we'll do another one. Um, well, yeah, man, that was fun. I mean, considering a dark topic, I think we made about as much light of it as we could. And
Yeah.
yeah, brother. Till next time. Guys, please go in the description. Please go follow him. Please go support the good man. And make sure that George doesn't start tweeting woke shit. Keep an eye on him. And if he does, start reporting him for hate speech. Say he's anti woke. Say it's all smokescreen. He doesn't actually believe it. Start clipping this video and show that he's friends with me, and he'll be kicked off immediately.
Right
All right.
away.
All right. George,
Okay.
thank you so much for your time, man. Stay safe.
Thank you.